We're rewarding criminals and we're dismissing victims. And that is problematic to me, and I think that's problematic to a lot of people. All right, boys, after 20 years of violently terrorizing the community of San Francisco, a 44-year-old will finally serve hard time after getting arrested for assaulting a man in an unprovoked attack on BART, which is like, I think, the subway or whatever, in San Francisco. Nah, just kidding. He was released a few days later. This is brought to you by Gavin Newsom, reminding you that crime is down in California. Let's check it out, right? What is going on here?
Arriving at Embarcadero.
I didn't. See, look out, nigga here. No, you talking about tripping. Give me some money on the mat.
What in the... Oh, man, this is...
Oh my God.
All right, so... I saw this video and I was like, obviously this is going to be reposted. This is probably an old video because that's the way the internet works. So... there's a news article linked to this around the person in question, right? So here we go. Let's check it out. Sorry for the bright white. You're gonna have to deal with it. Felon accused of BART attack freed immediately by the San Francisco judge. Immediately. Further details are emerging that last week's unprovoked violent assault of an Asian man on the BART and the astonishing leniency with which the alleged perpetrator, who was already back on the streets, was treated. 44-year-old Robert, a violent felon with a two-decade history of mayhem in San Francisco, punched, I would say slapped, but maybe it was punched a defenseless man repeatedly as morning rush hour strap hangers, looked on in horror. In a video widely shared on social media, filmed on January 6th, a man is heard menacing commuters for money in a packed train car. He then lashes out, punching the victim in the face, which offers no resistance. The injured man is shown to double over, clutching his face. Passengers are heard exclaiming in shock as the automated system announces that the train is approaching the station. Mickles was arrested later that morning by BART police. He walked out of the San Francisco County Jail on the 9th, one day after the judge ordered his release. All right, the judge's discretion appeared limited owing to San Francisco's prosecutor's decision to charge Mickles with a single misdemeanor count of battery and not asking her to keep him locked up. The judge ordered the defendant to attend the Walden House, an outpatient program for drug addicts and mental patients ran by a nonprofit. This is crime, violent crime, is all committed by like the same very small portion of our population, right? Like, I think we looked up statistics previously in another video. It's like 1% of all crimes, like all violent criminals commit like 60% of all violent crimes. This person has a long track record and history of doing it. There's absolutely no reason that you should not lock this person up and just charge them with a felony, get them off the streets. Why are we allowing people who are not really helping society and are actively going out and hurting people? Why are we giving them multiple chances to escalate into something that's even worse than assaulting somebody randomly on a subway? I don't understand why this is allowed. I don't understand why these prosecutors are allowed to do this. I don't understand why in today's society we are just letting criminals and violent criminals just run free and letting them do whatever they want and not really caring for the victims. This is one of those situations where it's really funny because when you go to places like California, everybody's advocating for rights for people who are here that aren't here legally. They're advocating for criminals' rights. They're advocating for drug dealers' rights. They're advocating for drug addicts' rights. Like seemingly all of these groups are being advocated for, but nobody's advocating for the public and the general public who are the ones that are having to deal with the impacts of leaving these types of people on the street. I don't understand when it became more important to protect criminals and people who are actively doing things to disrupt or damage their own life, and when they became a priority over people who are just trying to get around and people who are just trying to live a normal life. I don't understand when or why this happened. Mickles is perhaps best known for December 2014 incident, which he broke into a San Francisco apartment building in the early hours and attempted to rob a resident who, unfortunately for him, turned out to be a police officer getting ready to go to work. He fought the officer for his gun, was shot during the melee and then continued to violently assault him. He was convicted of first-degree robbery, assault, and battery and sentenced to 6 years in state prison. Prosecutors say Mickles suffers from substance-induced psychotic disorder. This right here is just a nice way of saying that the person is a drug addict, so because they're a drug addict, we are going to dismiss anything bad they do because of substance abuse, and we're going to treat them with kid gloves. And I think this is the absolute wrong way to deal with this. These type of people have made the decisions that have led to them being this way and acting this way, right? They have ruined their lives, and doing things like this and just dismissing it outright is turning them from somebody who was an active participant in destroying their life into basically like an unwilling victim into a system that destroyed their life because it enabled them to have access to substances. This is wild. I think that these types of I don't even know what you would call them, right? Like lawyers, like these types of lawyers and judges should be looked into, because I believe that this is, in my view, not healthy for the community to continue to put these people out there. If you know that they have a psychotic disorder, then they're not safe to be around the public, right? A defense expert testified that Mickles was in an acute psychotic state during the incident and not conscious of his actions. He had previously been placed on an involuntary psychiatric hold. How did this happen? Here's the question. How did this happen? How did he fall into an acute psychotic state? How did he do that? Are they trying to imply that he was in an acute psychotic state because of substance-induced psychotic disorder? So what you're saying here is that this person is in an acute psychotic state that was induced by substances. Who put the substances in his body? That's the only thing you need to know. Who put the substances in his body? Did he put them in there? Then he's responsible for it, and he should be held to account for it. It's not like somebody randomly fell by and just like tripped into him and triggered him to be, you know what I mean? Like triggered substances to enter his body. It's so wild. A spokesperson for the San Francisco District Attorney, Brooke Jenkins, insisted that the misdemeanor charge represents all the prosecutors could do in the circumstance. How is this all you can do? We carefully reviewed all the evidence submitted by BART police and charged the case with all the crimes that we believe we could prove beyond reasonable doubt. There was insufficient evidence of a hate crime. Why are we trying to go for a hate crime? Because he was black and he attacked an Asian dude? Like, you can't call it a hate crime because he was black, Nita. But if he was a white guy, then you would have tried to charge it as a hate crime. Like, why are you looking at these hangers and not looking at the nature of the crime, how it was unprovoked, and the amount of damage that he was able to inflict on this person, or his past history? You could have used his past history against him. It seems that the crime that most residents worry about the most, a random violent assault on the BART, which they cannot immediately escape, really does nothing to merit more than a misdemeanor charge and an immediate release in California. This is the other problem. This happened in a locked vehicle that you cannot readily get out of. So if this would have escalated any further, this man would have had no reprieve or no way to get out of the situation, which really does ratchet up the threat level, and you should take that into account, plus the man's history, when it comes to how you treat the situation, in my view. This is wild. I think that this is sort of the problem that we're having, and this is the problem we're having in society. And the problem is that right now we are rewarding criminals, and we are dismissing we're rewarding criminals and we're dismissing victims. And that is problematic to me, and I think that's problematic to a lot of people. When you know these things are happening, when you see these things are happening, and when they're happening time and time again, and the criminals are getting away with everything, and the general public is told just to not pay attention to it or to just let it go, I think you're going to start to turn public sentiment even more. And when you mix this with everything else that's going on, I think it's really starting to be a problem for a lot of Americans.